what you said about like putting yourself in other people's shoes, I think that's in the book, he says it himself. If there's anything that you get out of the book, it's that.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Driven. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing one of the many books we've read along the way in our business journey, which is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, just based on the title, How to Win Friends and Influence People, I know it could seem like it's a book on how to manipulate people.
Yes.
But you've read it, I read it. So, like based on what you read, like what does it entail? What's the whole premise of the book?
More than like, like how you said, it can sound like it's manipulative. And also we've had the warehouse, or pretty much the people that we work with, we've had them read it. And so I know it's helped a lot of people. It's definitely helped the interactions with people significantly. Yep. And so the premise of the book is not necessarily how to win friends or influence people, but it just happens by default by what the book teaches. And it's about human psychology and how to deal with people. Yes. Because it doesn't tell you, okay, this is how you win the friends, or this is how you're going to influence people. It just says, in general, this is how people think, and so kind of like this human psychology and like how to work well and how to deal with people. And so that's the overall premise of the book. But I know that's one of the books that has definitely influenced me the most, or that has definitely I've used the most when it comes to real life. So would you say that that's an accurate description of the book?
I would agree. And the reason why is because I know we deal with people in everyday situations, whether we're at school, whether we're even at home, with ourselves. And I think that's helped us a lot, like me and you.
Why do you think it's important, though?
Dealing with people?
Yeah.
Well, like I mentioned, you deal with people like every single day. And if you're constantly, to make it simpler, pushing people away, if you're being an asshole in a way, or if, you put yourself or your needs above others, eventually it may or may not work out. And I think leaning more towards it's not going to work out, whether you're going into work, you're probably going to start having trouble with like people, coworkers, employers, employees. You start a business, like doing all those things, or even a trade. If you're a plumber, electrician, you're going to have to constantly deal with people. And I'm pretty sure it's the same for you. But to summarize, one of the key main points is that you have to put yourself in the other person's shoes. Because I know a lot of the times we put our needs above everyone else's. And I know like we could become assholes. Or we could pressure, or not pressure, but we could get people to do what we want to do. I know that sounds bad, but we could get people to do what they want to do. But I know there's going to be resentment.
Right.
And so that book, it's pretty much, how to deal with people.
No, definitely. And then what you said about like putting yourself in other people's shoes, I think that's in the book, he says it himself. If there's anything that you get out of the book, it's that. And I definitely do agree with that, because for me at least, it's hard to think like other people, or it's hard to like well, it might be easier for others. That's the thing, because how some other people are more like sympathetic, or kind of like they have more empathy. Like they kind of understand the other person a little bit better. But if you actually like, and so for me, like using that and applying it to myself, like putting myself in other people's shoes, you kind of start to, even if you don't agree with it or even fully understand it or feel it, you kind of you get that understanding. And so when you put yourself in the other person's shoes, like you start to like understand why they do some of the things they do, why they think the way they do. You start like, oh, okay, this person grew up like this, and then as to why, and that's why he thinks this way, and so forth. And that's something that definitely helped me. Like I don't agree with a lot of stuff that a lot of people say, or a lot of people like live like, but I understand it. And that just comes with putting yourself in the other person's shoes. And then because of that understanding, I feel like it's easier to like communicate with people and get along with people. And so at least that's something for me that that has definitely helped the most.
At least for myself, before the book, how you mentioned there was something that a person did I didn't agree with, I would be like, man, this guy, like, what's wrong with this guy?
Right.
And brush it off. And be like, well, I mean, it's just the way it is. It is what it is. But now, like how you mentioned, after reading the book, it's just like, man, like maybe this guy's going through something.
Yep.
Maybe this guy, he grew up that way. Maybe it's his mannerism. Maybe it's
Yep.
the way he talks. Like
Yep.
there's no intention. It's just, man, like, okay, let me see the whole picture. Let me see the big picture instead of, you know, just dismissing this guy out.
No, definitely. And so that's and that's one of the things that reading that book is not gonna like make you like perfect, or it's not gonna make you like how do I say it, like, you know, or implement everything from the book right away, because I know like still emotions get into it. And, like, for example, driving, I know a lot of the times it's easy, you know, it is the right thing to do is just, you know, let things be, like, you know, they cut you off, you know, it is what it is. I know, but sometimes it does, you know, get to you. But so, you know, I think one of the things that also has helped me, at least with that book, is reading it several times, because I've read it several times, and every time it's like you get something out of it, and you're reminded of like, oh shit. And that's one of the things that I was thinking, like maybe like a month ago, because I think there was an issue with one of our workers, like maybe communicating with people, and I'm like, I think we need to read this book again. I know it got better, but I think, especially if we do hire some new people, I think that's one of the books that we should read, even if it's like 5-10 minutes a day, because I know like we're gonna get a lot from that.
Yep.
And so so I definitely, like, you know, I know probably I'm getting ahead of myself, but I do recommend that book. But is there anything like in particular, like in that book, that you read and you implemented?
I think more than anything, it's just how to understand people.
Okay.
Understand that it's not just me. I also had to take other people's emotions, other people's characters, other people's mannerisms into account, into the picture, and then just try to work around it. Mm-hmm. You know, to the best of the abilities. And like how you mentioned, it's just putting yourself in other people's shoes, just to put it simple, because I know there's a lot of very detailed stuff that you could actually start implementing. And I just think it's a great book. Yeah. Because it also helped with us, because I know we used to like pretty much argue quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to that. Well, not that just one thing, but putting yourself in another person's shoes. What did help? I know it more than anything. It probably was on my end, because I used to be a little bit more, or I would say a lot more like just, I don't know what the right word, abrasive. Like you could tell me like what it is that, or what it was that I was like I don't know if it was abrasive or just quick, like as in like, you know, short fuse, or how were we? Let's say, because I think. Well, I mean, granted, you could argue that, you know yourself better, but I think, at least for me, I feel like I didn't think things through, right? And I just reacted based on how I felt, and so I feel like that's how I was. And I know, like, because not everyone is like you, or not everyone is like me, and that just goes with everybody. Not everyone is the exact same like person as you. And so I know once I understood that definitely helped me, first of all, understand it, and then take steps in order to mitigate those things. But I don't know about you on your end. It doesn't have to just be with me. I guess overall, like, how do you think you know, how that book helped? Because it helped. At least it helped me, and I'm pretty sure it helped everyone here that read it.
No, going back to how we used to argue a lot, like I think there was there was a point where I would do that too, where I would just react first, act first, and then, you know, like after the thing happened, I'm like, shit, you know, I probably shouldn't have said that, or shit, I probably shouldn't have done that. And I know it was a little bit more with you, but then on my end, like, you know, I started to like think things through before, you know, I said things. And in my head, I'm like, man, you know, like, why can't this guy do that? Or why can't this guy do the same? But like that book, like also like it helped me understand that not everyone, like how we mentioned, like everyone is different. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. And I think more than anything, like it got less, the arguments and whatnot. But I think it's just, you know, it's a lot of things. It's reading the book. Yes. Putting yourself in the other person's position. Letting go of egos. Because I know we have egos. Yep. And just, I think more than anything, just maturing.
Yeah, and then, but that's going to get into another topic, like when letting go of egos. In certain situations, yes. Yeah. But in others, I think it's helpful. But I digress. But, so, like, I think even just reading the book once,
it's gonna do wonders.
It's gonna change a lot of things about you. It's gonna definitely change a lot of things about you, because that's probably the book that has opened my eyes the most, and has helped me understand people the most.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to do anything with business.
And so, like, you know, the overarching is how to deal with. So it's you know, pretty much like how we said that you put yourself in another person's shoes, you start to understand them more and have more empathy for them. And then it also has like little things here and there, like, for example, but, like,
Yeah,
like something so small as, you know, but, hey, so and so, you did a really good job, but and so that kind of like, even that but is kind of like, you know, kind of almost it eliminates what you had said before.
Yep.
And so, like, one of the things that I stopped doing for sure, and that I know, like, I catch myself, like, when I'm about to say it, I'm like, okay, what word should I use to replace it? You know, I use and. So and so, you did a really good job, and if you added this to what you were doing, it would have been a lot better.
Yep.
So that has a lot better effect than having, you know, so and so, you did so good,
Yep.
but blank. So and so, you did so good, and if you did this, that wouldn't have been even better.
Yep.
It definitely has a huge effect on the other person, how, like, they perceive the statement. And so it has even little things like that.
Yep.
And so that's one of the books that definitely, like, I recommend everybody read. It doesn't matter if you're in business or if you're or in work, or even if you're not really, like, career oriented per se.
Yeah.
You have to deal with people, organizations, nonprofits, soccer team, or sports teams.
Yep.
It definitely does help a lot.
Yeah, and just going back to the but, like, there's like small nuggets here and there, and like people expect it.
People expect it?
Yeah, people expect the buts. So you know how, like, hey, you
Right.
did a good job. Like, oh, here comes the but.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And so and that's one of the things that you start becoming conscious of, because when I hear people talk, I'm like, okay, like, they're talking, and then I hear but, like, and so, like, you could hear it coming from all the way, and then that's, I mean, I'm not going into, like, detail, but you start being more conscious of the things.
Yep.
And then also when you read it, also with the purpose of actually implementing it.
Yep. Yeah, that's one thing, you know, from a course here and there. It's maybe read one chapter a day if you can, but like, if you can't, then, you know, like, as time goes, but then, like, once you're done with your reading, try to implement that one thing, just that one thing, one simple thing. If it's, you know, changing but to and, if it's putting yourself in other people's shoes, like, you know, thinking it, like, you know, should I say this, should I not, you know.
No, definitely. That's the first book that you should read, because it encompasses everything, not just business.
Yeah.
So definitely the top pick. But yeah, I think that, you know, that's one of the books that we recommend out of all the ones that we have read or listened to. And if there's any other book that has really helped you out with psychology or dealing with people, make sure to put it down in the comments down below. And with that being said, this has been another episode of Driven. My name is Juan.
My name is Alexis.
And we'll see you on the next one.